All right. Why do we care about t intervals? Why do we care about z intervals? Or any of this crap for that matter. I keep saying these two terms, t interval and z interval, so this is the conversational t interval. And the ti term is one prop z it. So we'll often be throwing around these terms in class conversationally, because that's the technology we're using in class. But in general, what this is a confidence interval using the t distribution. And in general, what this is the same thing, but it's using the normal distribution. But I reiterate my statement. Why do we care? Why do we need these? Give me anything you remember about either of them. Why do we care? Why do we need these? Why do we care? Why are we talking about these t's and z's?
One of the notes I took was t-charts make up for smaller sample sizes.
Say that one more.
T-charts make up for smaller
Good. The reason we have the t distribution, good. Lindsay is telling us the difference between when we use a t and when we use a z. Gossett came up with this t distribution because he was dealing with very small yields and very small batches of beer and had to do meaningful statistics on small sample sizes. Boom! T makes up for that. What kind of data? What kind of potentially small data sets for that t? We remember. Rosie, go ahead.
skewed.
Oh, potentially skewed. Potentially skewed. It actually gobbles up skewed data pretty well. If it gets too skewed, we've got to be careful. And don't worry about that. We're going to deal with too skewed data in your third project. When your data gets so bad that you shouldn't use this. And Rosie, thank you for bringing that up too. Both of these distributions, both of these intervals have restrictions on when you should use them. For example, do you remember what kind of, let's go with this one. This was the first one we did. What kind of data do you have to have down here in order to do this? It was the penny data, it was the real estate data. What else was it?
Discrete.
Thank you, Will. It's discrete data. It's discrete data. Has to be discrete data because you're counting x's and you're counting n's and you're forming the interval around that x divided by n or p hat. So basically what this thing looks like, is it looks like p hat plus or minus some margin of error. P hat plus or minus some margin of error. And the idea, if you look back to your notes, the idea is out there, the parameter that you care about, estimating is called what? With respect to this? Which one do you care about estimating with this? Which variable? Be brave, my friend! Oh, I thought I saw your mouth. And tell me your name again. It's P, and tell me your name. Josh, thank you, it's little p. We want little p because little p is the population proportion. And the idea is we form this, and with a set level of confidence, little p is in there. 95% of the time when we construct these intervals, little p is in there. Thank you, Josh, perfect. We want little p. We want little p in the interval. Perfect, 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 perfect. But it has to have discrete data, because the underlying justification of this is the binomial distribution. Perfect. How does that differ from the t interval, which we started last time? This can be discrete data. It can be. But it very rarely is. I have an example where it is today in class we'll deal with. Usually it's what kind of data? What's the other kind? You got it, Rosie. It can be discrete sometimes, very rarely. But continuous. Continuous. More likely. So if you look at that quiz that I got posted for Thursday, it's braking distances of people that are drinking while driving, texting while driving, or reading a text while driving. And as you may have guessed, you could probably predictably see what the distances are going to look like. But it was a test done by Car and Driver a few years ago. I'm going to test braking distances on my bike tonight and hopefully tomorrow night. I've got cantilever brakes on my cyclocross bike. We got any bikers in here? Cantilever brakes scared the piss out of me. I forgot. I grew up in the 80s, started riding mountain bikes in the 90s when cantilever is a style of brake. And back in the day, it was the bomb. It was the best. I mean, we had drum brakes from like the 1930s, about the 1950s, and they started having the kickback brakes, the coaster brakes, like the Schwinn Stingray. Totally awesome. When mountain bikes came along, the coaster brake was causing broken ankles because people were riding the trail, woohoo, and they tried to backpedal and the thing would lock up through the handlebars. So cantilever brakes is just, it's on the rim, this little set of arms that goes like this. V-brakes came out about 10 years later, much more stopping power. And then disc brakes are now on pretty much every mountain bike that exists. My cyclocross bikes from 2012, for some reason, it came with cantilever brakes. I have eaten crap so many times on that thing. It's like I'm flying into tight switchback corners, stopping as if I have disc brakes. So on a mountain bike, I can stop on a dime, lift the back wheel, drop it, and go down. So I'm flying into the switchback, brakes are locked in, I'm not slowing down. I'm like, yeah, dump the bike, jump over the handlebars, and run down the hill. So I got tired of doing that. I got myself some V-brakes. So we're going to test, you guys are going to test, hopefully in the next exam, the difference in braking distances between my cantilever brakes and my V-brakes to see if I made a wise choice in purchasing them. Hail Mary, I hope I did. So I'm tired of dumping the brake and putting it in my derailleur hanger. Anyway, continuous data, braking distances. Whether it's a car while texting or driving, drinking, driving, texting and driving, or my braking distances, or time, or temperature, or filling a volume of a coffee cup, whatever it is. You can also do discrete data, and Josh is going to know the answer to why. What parameter are we interested in here? What parameter? Mu. That's the one. Well, it's mu. We're interested in the average, and you can take the average of discrete data just like you can take the average of continuous data. Conversely, you cannot take a proportion of continuous data. It has to be counted data to do that. So the parameter you're interested in up here is mu. And the confidence interval that you're going to have here is going to look like x bar plus or minus its margin of error. Now the margins of error, one of the videos you see, or you will see once it's visualized properly on your homework page, is the derivation of the margin of error for this guy. The margin of error up here, I don't think anybody has a problem with. It's the same margin of error from the central limit theorem. And you bought it then. You don't have to rebuy it now. It still kicks in. And we're not going to worry about calculating them manually because I don't want you to. I want you to understand what they're telling you. That's what I care about in here. Technology will do all the calculations for us. The important thing for you guys is to make sure you know what you're looking at. Because 9 times out of 10, maybe 19 times out of 20, maybe 99 times out of 100, you guys in your consumption of statistics in the world, whether it's your academic world or your real world, will have the statistics given to you. And it's your job to interpret it. In other words, the work will already be done, and it's your job to understand it and critique it properly if necessary. That's why I don't care about using technology to calculate these things. We should use technology to calculate these things. It gets unbearable if we don't. The focus should be on what you're looking at, which is why I have our experiment for today. So, give you a quick, let's restart. This is kind of where we are, where we're going.